Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the May Tri-State Dairy Exchange webinar. Our theme for this year is Advancing Dairy Systems Through Technology, and this quarter we are focusing on precision agriculture technology and tools that support decision-making in the field and in the barn. This month, we're excited to be joined by the team from Track Tracker Pro to learn about their real-time geolocation and tracking platform built to give crop farmers a clear, accurate picture of what's happening across farms, fields, routes, and bunks by integrating GPS tracking, geofencing, and artificial intelligence. The systems that this team has designed brings a whole new level of management and opportunity to any operation. Up next in this webinar series, in June, we will hear from our very own UVM Extension Precision Agriculture experts about some very new and exciting equipment and technology in the Northeast. And in July, we will shift to our third quarter focus on automated milking systems. If you know someone who may be interested in this series, please scan the QR code and share the registration link. And if you have missed any of this series, you can always get caught up by viewing the recordings on the UVM Extension Northwest Crops and Soils Program YouTube channel. The goal of our Tri-State Dairy Extension team is to advance dairy management, address shared industry challenges, and foster innovation through collaborative educational programs across northern New England, specifically Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. The folks on our team have been involved in this industry for decades, and we really enjoy working with farms across our respective regions. We are Glenda at the University of Maine, Sarah at the University of New Hampshire, and Whitney, Kelsey, and myself at the University of Vermont. We are gearing up for a busy spring and summer. In Maine, new episodes of the Maine Farmcast are released every Wednesday. Recent episodes have focused on optimizing forage quality for first cut, planning for success in animal agriculture, and shepherding sheep for fiber production in Maine. Also, on June 30th in Maine, the Technology Tuesday series will launch with farm tours at Greenvale Farm and Witter Farm, focusing on manure robots and automated milking systems on those two farms. Registration is required, and we will have that link up for you shortly. A full list of upcoming happenings at the University of New Hampshire can be found on their events website. And in Vermont, our livestock grazing team will be facilitating two great workshops that cover everything you need to know about fencing and water systems for grazing production livestock in June. These workshops are super informative, and I can guarantee that even if you are someone who has been grazing animals for years, you'll learn something new here. Both workshops will be held at the Vermont State University campus in Rutland, and in the past they have included both classroom portion as well as a hands-on demonstration portion of the day. The events are 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Registration is required and lunch is included. Additionally, the University of Vermont Extension Dairy Team will be launching our Future Ready Dairy Farm Tour series in June. We are really excited to be facilitating these events at farms across the state who are taking unique approaches to improving efficiency and profitability in the current dairy market. And we're so fortunate to have so many amazing operations in our state, and also fortunate they are willing to share about the tools, management, and technology that's working for them. These farm tours will be informal demonstrations and conversations that highlight what sets these farms apart, and producers along with their farm and their farm team will share what they have learned and what they're excited about for the future of their farms. We'll be adding details about this series and these individual events to our website under the Conferences and Events tab. And you should certainly join our mailing list and follow us on all of the social media platforms for updates. And last but not least, save the date for our UVM Extension Northwest Crops and Soils annual field day on July 23rd at Border View Research Farm in Alburgh. Our team has chosen a theme, but I'm not sure I can release it yet. It's going to be outstanding, and the weather is going to be beautiful, perfect, just like today. You heard it here first. So mark your calendar, block your day. We have some incredibly interesting trials and projects going on, and you won't want to miss it. All right, lots of links will be coming at you in the chat shortly here. Our featured resource for this month is not a podcast or webinar. Instead, It is this very cool and useful interactive growing degree day calculator tool that can be found on the Climate Smart Farming website. This website allows you to set your location, shown here is our research farm in Alberg, and for any date along this x-axis, the calculator will tell you the number of growing degree days to date for the season, compared to the 15-year average, the 30-year normal range, and it will also show you this little red line is the predicted growing degree days based on the 6-day forecast. So you can enter your planting date, either your actual planting date or your projected planting date, and use this tool to see how projected growing degree days could impact your growing season and harvest timing for specific crops. This tool is super interactive and really interesting, so you should check it out on the Climate Smart Farming website. All right, today we are so fortunate to have the team from Track Tracker Pro joining us. I first heard about this technology and tool last fall from a farm tour in New York, where they were able to monitor bunk packing density in real time as the bunk was being filled, which just blew my mind. So sure enough, this team has employed some next level technology and data collection to develop a platform that is incredibly useful and user-friendly for all aspects of nutrient management, harvest management, and so much more. DJ, I will stop sharing my screen so that you can share yours and take it away and tell us all about these systems that your team has designed and begun to implement on farms that you work with.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction, Amber. Welcome, everyone. And thank you for joining us today. Thank you for having us. My name is DJ Jirinec. I'm here from JP Soft, along with my teammates, Matt Langford and Jacob Jirinec. And Amber gave us a nice warm-up. We'd like to introduce you to Track Tracker Pro, a precision agricultural platform built specifically for the realities of modern farm operations. Over the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'll walk you through how we help farms get complete visibility from the dirt to the desk, and how we automate the work that today happens on clipboards and spreadsheets, and how we make regulatory compliance something that just gets handled in the background. Let's just start with the problems we're solving. Anyone running a modern agricultural operation knows this picture. You've got dozens of vehicles moving across multiple fields and farms, often at multiple scale or field sites, all at the same time. Your scale operators or drivers are manually keying in truck IDs or keeping a paper log of farm, field, truck, and weight commodities, which means typos, delays, and disputes when a number doesn't match. If you're a concentrated animal feeding operation, or CAFO, you're required to keep precise weather and field records, and historically every one of these entries has been made by hand. Load tracking, yield by field, accountability, it's all spread across paper logs and spreadsheets that nobody reconciles in real time. And the hardest part, there's no single view of what's actually happening across your operation right now in this moment. That's the gap that Track Tracker Pro was built to close. Track Tracker Pro is one platform that gives you complete operational visibility, real-time GPS tracking on every vehicle across every farm, live, automated scale management, no operator needed for tracked vehicles, CAFO compliance records generated automatically as work happens, a full grower to farm to field to load hierarchy, so every yield number ties back to a specific field. It's cloud connected, hosted on Azure with multiple region resilience, and it runs in any browser on any device. No app to install, no special hardware on the user side. The rest of this presentation will walk through each of these capabilities in detail. Let's start with GPS tracking, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. If a vehicle or machine has a power source, we can track it. Trucks, tractors, harvesters, spreaders, sprayers, skid steers, anything moving across your operation, the GPS units are compact and install in minutes. And once they're on, positions update continuously across every field and farm site. One of the features customers find most useful is proximity linking. The platform automatically associates a truck with the harvester it's currently servicing, so loads are attributed correctly without anyone keying that in. Fields, bunks, and scale sites are geofenced, so we know exactly when a vehicle enters or exits any of those zones. And the live map works the same on a phone, tablet, or workstation in the office. Now let's talk about what happens with all those tracked loads. Every load is attributed automatically to the right grower, farm, field, and crop. No manual tagging. For situations where there's no scale on site, our GPS lap counting feature lets you estimate unscaled loads based on vehicle movement patterns. Each load record captures harvest times, the equipment identity, the driver, and the scale weight when one is recorded. You get a full field summary in real time, total loads, total weight, and live tons per hour ingestion rates. The platform handles simultaneous operations across locations and multiple crop types, which matters during peak seasons when you got corn silage going at one farm and haylage at another. And because we keep year-over-year field history, your agronomist has real data to work with when planning the next season. This brings us to scale operations. This is a section divider slide, so I'll keep it brief. Scale operations are where most farms feel the daily pain, the bottleneck at the scale, the manual entry, the disputes over which truck weighed what. The next 3 slides walk through how TrackTracker Pro automates the weighing process, how we handle trucks that aren't GPS equipped, and how the scale keeps running even when the internet doesn't. So let's start with the automation cycle. Here's what the automated scale cycle looks like. When a truck pulls onto the scale, the platform identifies that vehicle using multiple independent inputs at the same time. Those inputs are cross-validated against each other, so you end up with one vertical or verified result. The system doesn't trust any single signal. No operator is needed. The entire cycle completes in about 4 seconds, and the truck identity is confirmed without anyone keying anything in. On the technical side, we work with any TCP or serial certified scale, Rice Lake, Mettler, Toledo, the indicators that you already have purchased on site. And we support the full set of operations on top of that: axle weights, ticket generation, grading, and inventory. Of course, not every truck is GPS equipped, so the next slide covers what happens with the others. For any truck that isn't GPS equipped, your custom haulers, neighbor's truck, anyone passing through, we put a 17-inch touch screen kiosk at the scale. It's weight activated, which means the kiosk wakes up automatically the moment a vehicle is on the scale. The operator enters the truck info, and the system issues a proof of delivery ticket on the spot. A thermal printer is available if customers want paper, but most of our customers have moved and prefer instantaneous email delivery. It's faster, and they don't have to worry about losing a ticket. The important thing is that ticket history for non-tracked trucks live alongside your tracked vehicle records in the same database, so your yield numbers are complete. We also include a daylight visible LED marquee that displays the weight, the truck ID, and communications for the drivers, including entry and exit signals before and after each weighing, so drivers know they're done without having to ask. Next slide covers what happens when the internet goes down, because at most farms, that's a question of when, not if. Rural internet is what it is. Storms knock out service, fiber gets cut, providers have outages, so TrackTracker Pro is built offline first at the scale. Every weight event is written locally first before any cloud call is ever even attempted. If the internet drops, the scale keeps weighing, keeps identifying vehicles, and keeps issuing tickets. The data queues locally and uploads automatically the moment connectivity is restored. Nothing is ever lost. Records are retained until the system confirms they have been uploaded. Vehicle identification continues fully offline, so even during the outage, you know which truck is which. When you reconnect, offline records are reconciled with the cloud and official tickets are generated. Practical upshot is your scale never stops, and you don't lose a day of revenue because an ISP had a bad afternoon. That wraps up our scale operations, so let's move into CAFO compliance. Quick sectional transition slide again. CAFO compliance is probably the area where TrackTracker Pro saves the most labor hours per week and where the cost of getting it wrong is highest. The next 3 slides walk through the manual burden as it exists today, how our platform automates that burden away, and the production numbers behind what we already document for our customers. Let's start with what the compliance actually requires. As many of you know, federal law EPA 40 CFR section 122.42 requires detailed manure application records for every field event at a CAFO. State rules layer on top of that to include field identifier, GPS location, the commodity applied, or manure in this case, the volume, the applicator, and 3 days of weather around the application. Historically, there's been a paper log or spreadsheet exercise. Your operator fills out the form after the application run, sometimes hours later, sometimes the next day. And weather can't just be pulled from a zip code lookup. The standard is weather at the actual application site. One missed record or one incorrect entry can create significant compliance exposure. And then at the end of the year, somebody has to compile an annual report out of all those manual records. It's a real burden, and it's exactly the kind of work that should be automated. Let's look at how we do that. Here's where the platform really earns its place on a CAFO. The system geofences every field, and applicator equipment is tagged just like any other vehicle. When an applicator enters a field and begins discharge, TrackTracker Pro automatically captures the field identifier, GPS coordinates, the manure type, the discharge volume, equipment and operator identity, and timestamps. Site-specific weather, temperature, wind, precipitation for the 3 days surrounding the event is pulled from a regional weather service and bound to the event automatically. Daily and annual reports are generated on demand. Audit trails are immutable and exportable. The operator doesn't do anything except do their job. The compliance record is a byproduct of their work. On the next slide, I'll show you exactly which regulations this approach covers. This is a regulation by regulation answer to does it actually map to what we have to comply with. EPA 40 CFR section 122.42, annual compliance report data set generated on demand. NPDES electronic reporting, fully digital, structured export, no paper. Nutrition management plan population per field, application volume and acreage. 3-day weather documentation captured automatically at the exact GPS coordinate of the application. Manure applicator registration, applicator and equipment identity tracked on every event. And pesticide restriction event intervals, REI, is computed and stored per application, so you know exactly when a field is safe to re-enter. Every one of these used to separate workflow at most operations, but with TrackTracker Pro, they're consolidated into one program generated as a byproduct of the work itself. Next, we will be moving into bunk packing. Another quick section transition. We've covered the core workflow, GPS, scale operations, CAFO compliance. The next 2 slides walk through 2 capabilities that often come up in customer conversations: bunk packing intelligence for silage operations and spray applicator tracking for pesticide and chemical compliance. Both are built on the same GPS and geofence foundation. So if you've already got the platform deployed, these are essentially value-added upgrades. So let's start with bunk packing. Silage packing is one of those operations where the cost of getting it wrong only shows up months later, when you open the bunk and discover the dry matter losses you can't recover. TrackTracker Pro uses GPS position from your packing tractors during the fill to build a live coverage heat map of the bunk in real time. Combined with live tons per hour ingestion rate from the scale, the system gives the pack crew a clear color-coded signal, green, yellow, red, for how well the pack is keeping up. The big benefit is that you see under compaction zones while there's still time to fix them. You can redirect a tractor during the fill, not after the bunk is sealed. No additional sensors are required. This runs on the same GPS units that you might have already installed on the tractors. Customers tell us this is one of the easiest wins to demonstrate return on investment. And next up, we'll talk about our spray applicators have their own compliance regimen, pesticide labels, restricted entry intervals, pre-application notification requirements, and state-level registration. TrackTracker Pro captures every application with the product used, the target pest, the rate per acre, and the unit of measurement. The REI restricted entry interval is computed and stored automatically for each event, so you always know when a field is safe to re-enter. Pre-application notification compliance is tracked, whether notification was required and whether it was sent. Spray conditions, wind temperature, precipitation, all pulled at the exact GPS coordinate, not a regional approximation, which is what most regulators actually want. After each application, a PDF compliance report is generated and emailed automatically. And at the end of the year, an annual applicator summary is available on demand for state registration filings. That covers the operational capabilities. Now, let's look briefly at the platform itself. Quick note on the platform itself, because the audience question we always get is, how reliable is this thing? TrackTracker Pro is a modern Angular web application. It runs in any browser, no install required. It's hosted in Microsoft Azure with multiple regional deployments serving different customer geographies, so that an issue in one region's environment doesn't affect customers running in another. We're in active production across dairy, crop, and CAFO operations from New York through the Midwest. Role-based access controls let you separate what an operator sees from what an owner or agronomist sees. And every load, every weight, every application event is captured in an immutable audit trail. The takeaway, this isn't a prototype or a pilot. It's running real farms today. And let's hear from a couple of those customers. I'll let our customers speak for themselves. Karen at Gulliver Farms LLC told us that the biggest change for her was simply knowing, being able to confirm that every load was weighed and tracked, and having real confidence in her total yield numbers at the end of the day. That confidence is the thing she didn't have before. Our team at Twilight Farms emphasized something completely different, tracking field and yield data live in the moment, and how much easier it makes insurance reporting, insurance documentation. Used to take days of going back through paper records. Now it's a few clicks. Two different operations, two different priorities, same underlying platform, giving them both what they need. Now let's talk about who TrackTracker Pro is built for. TrackTracker Pro is purpose-built for the agricultural sector, and within that, we serve a few distinct roles. Dairy operations use us heavily for forage tracking, bunk packing, and manure application compliance. Crop farms use the platform for live yield, by field, harvest coordination, and load attribution. CAFOs lean on the automated compliance record keeping. Custom harvesters and haulers use it to settle accurately with the farms they serve. Every load is documented in real time. Agronomists work with the historical field data we keep, and scale operators appreciate the platform takes the manual data entry off their plate during peak season. The point is, the platform isn't generic enterprise software with farming bolted on as an afterthought. It is built from the ground up for how agricultural operations actually run. So let's close with how to take the next step and open it up for questions. If anything we've covered today resonates with you or you're trying to solve on your operation, here's how to take the next step. Visit tracktrackerpro.com to learn more or schedule a one-on-one walkthrough with our team, and we'll show you exactly how TrackTracker Pro can be tailor-fit to your operation. Onboarding is modular. You don't have to deploy everything at once. Most customers start with one piece, GPS tracking or the automated scale or the CAFO compliance, and add the rest as they are ready. And hardware install support is included. We just don't drop a box on your doorstep and wish you luck. JP Soft LLC stands behind every deployment. I want to thank you all for your time today, and I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thanks, DJ. I've got a question and a request.
Okay,
My question is could you talk a little bit about how your team came up with the idea behind Track Tracker Pro and how you guys built this tool and this platform? And my request is, do you think that you could share, like screen share the dashboard and kind of walk us through what your customers actually see, like the tools they actually see in real time and how they work, kind of like we did when we first talked about this
sure.
many months ago?
Yes, would
Thanks.
love to. Um, I'll start with the first part. Track Tracker Pro obviously just didn't come out of thin air. It was developed after myself personally sitting in a grain buggy for several harvest seasons, writing down every truckload, writing down every field, writing this, writing that. And then a few years later, we had a meeting with one of our large dairies locally, and they expressed um, the need to solve the problem of tracking their forage harvest from the bunk to the scale back through, which field it came from, which grower. Um, Obviously, as these operations grow bigger and bigger, there's more and more growers involved, and they only make so much land. So you cannot risk losing a grower to, inaccurate payment or inaccurate reporting. And it's as anyone that conducts forage operation knows, it is a monumental task to keep track of things. And even with the smartest minds running the pen and pencil, you have a huge error rate, just fat finger errors and transposition errors between the what the truck driver writes down that gets passed into the office, and then you've got a poor team sitting in the office trying to figure all that out and add it all together in a spreadsheet. So we put our minds to work to solve this problem, and we're going on our we're 3 years deep into this now. I believe we're starting our fourth harvest season now with first, and we've come a long, long way. And so that's really kind of how it all started. It was almost on a dare or a bet of, hey, I bet you can't solve this problem. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a second so I can pull up some live screenshots or live. We'll just log into a system here live.
All right.
Apologize
Excuse
for
me.
the
And
delay.
if anyone else has any questions, you can drop them in the chat. Um, Another question I had while you're pulling up your screen, DJ, is like, is there a minimum acreage that works best for your platform? And like, maybe you could talk a little bit about how many farms you're working with and what types of farms they are, what kind of crops they're growing, where
Sure.
where where you're located.
We're located in central New York, right smack dab in the middle of the Finger Lakes. Um, we currently work mainly with larger dairy farms. Our furthest operation, we're actually going next week to install in uh, Wisconsin. We have two scales operating in Michigan. We go as far north as Ogdensburg and as far south as Ithaca in the New York section here. And we also actually have a farm in Vermont that it looks like we're going to turn up here, hopefully within a few less than a month. So we're really starting to grow. And one thing to remember, we purposely built this system and we purposely have rode the brakes on deploying the system until we were very confident on how it uh, operates and performs. We worked in agriculture enough to know that there's a lot of snake oil out there, and we did not want to be lumped into that category. So I was just looking through some of our customers here. I believe we've got one that's actually chopping at the moment. We could take a look at here. Let's see. Yeah. Let me share up my screen again. So this is our customer up by Ogdensburg, and you can see they're actively, I think they're chopping. I don't see the chopper here yet, but it looks like they're probably getting ready to chop. But you can see the ability we have to zoom in and see exactly what they're doing. But let me log out of there and find you a dashboard that's more worth looking at here. I should probably stop sharing that. Sorry. Let's see here. Are they going to come up? Yep, here we go. Here's a good one for us. Apologize for the delay. So this would be a end of harvest dashboard. Can everybody see? Can you see that, Amber? So this is right when they log in, scale dash, and we can take a look at their corn silage if we want by basically clicking on it. And this breaks down their corn silage total tons, total acres harvested, tons per acre average, and the number of loads. And then we can break down each grower here by just simply clicking on them. And they don't have this particular, actually, this is the Gulliver farm that we had a testimonial from. They don't have any sub farms underneath them. So this is all their fields. So you can see this breaks the same tonnage, acres, tons per acre, loads down. And then we can go one more click and we actually see enumerated each load off of that field, the date, time stamp, and the amount of tons. And then if we pick a load and click on a load, you can see, and this is live, this is a, you can see here the route the truck took to and from the field, what field it came from, and when it went across the scale. And in this data we have for every single load that we process when we're tracking. Let me show you one other dashboard. I'm just going to switch over here real quick.
Hey, DJ, can you also talk about any other programs that you guys are set up to integrate with?
Certainly. Just show you this dashboard here real quick. This is a inventory dashboard that we're working on with one of our dairies to actually, and that was a perfect segue, Amber, actually. We're actually integrating with, we take their easy feed daily feed report and we debit from the bunks they're feeding from. And this is obviously, we're under development here, but you can see that we're tracking pretty much every single one of their commodities in inventory. We're still working through that with them, trying to get everything sequenced and up to date. This is something I didn't cover in the presentation, but so yes, to answer your question, Amber, we integrate with easy. We basically process easy feed reports. We don't officially integrate with them, but we're able to take their report and pull it into our system and update the inventories. We also integrate with FeedWatch. That is a true integration. And then we are currently under development with John Deere Ops for pulling NIR field data, and that which is very exciting because we're going to be able to then take basically live NIR sensor data and tie it to every truckload, which will be just an amazing feat. And I know a lot of people are very interested in that. As soon as we have JD Ops perfected, then we'll move on to Klaus and Ag Leader. So that's the integrations we're slated for and currently building out.
That's super exciting. Do you have a screenshot of the bunk packing alerts that folks get when they don't have enough weight
I
their bunks?
do. Let me see here. Actually,
In
I
the
do. I think Jacob just sent me some for updating our documentation. Yeah, here we go. Let me share those. Let's see, share. So this would be on a desktop monitor here. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger for you. I guess it was fine the way it was. It just made it worse. My apologies. So you can see this is the physical heat map of where the bunk tractors were packing. These KPI indicators down here below tells you the tons per hour coming in and the optimal pack rate of ton pack weight based upon the ingestion rate coming across the scale. This screenshot over here would be the mobile view, say on your iPhone or your Android device. If you're your guy in charge of packing the bunk or gal, and then this is an example of the bunk pack report. It basically gives you all of the detail, just kind of rolled up by hour of the total pack weight on the bunk, the optimum, and so on. So that just gives you kind of an idea of what's in the system, you know, as far as bunk pack goes. Did you have any questions or on the bunk
um,
pack stuff here?
no, I just thought that was really, really cool. Um, there is one question in the chat here. Does your mapping, does the mapping technology track the how far the miles that the trucks are driving and look at fuel usage, any efficiencies that can be gained there, taking the most direct path between field and bunk?
We haven't got anything officially written as far as most direct routing. What we do find our customers are telling us um, is most of the guys in the choppers in the field are running tracker on their iPad with the live map up, and they can see when a truck is heading the wrong direction if they switch fields or the truck driver didn't get the word that they moved. So we do have that. Our trackers do have an odometer on them, so we can track mileage. We do have a speeding report. It was funny. We asked one customer if they'd like a speed notification if a truck violates a certain speed, and he actually wanted the opposite of that. He wanted a speed notification if a truck was driving too slow, which I thought was kind of comical, but maybe not the safest thing. Um, but it's no, but we don't have a direct routing yet. But it's certainly with the data, we could certainly explore those options in the future. We've been just really, really focused on the meat and potatoes, the nuts and the bolts of this thing to make sure it's doing its primary job first, and that's tracking, the forage operation, the bunk packing, the CAFO, the CAFO compliance. Rock solid is what we're really going after, bulletproof. So.
Cool. DJ, we heard about, what some of your farms are saying about Track Tracker Pro. What's your favorite feature or favorite component of this platform that you've developed as you've worked through it, or what do you feel is most useful for
I
folks?
think I think my favorite thing is when we show our farms at the end of harvest how to export their data and listening to them giggle, because it is so easy compared to the way they did before. They would spend weeks compiling the data, and I literally say, "Okay, click here," and the Excel file goes boop, and then there's all their loads for all their growers, and it's within seconds. It's right there, and just to see the joy on their faces and hear the excitement, I think that's my favorite. That's my favorite feature is just really taking care of our customers and just having them happy with the system and knowing that we're working our tails off for them, and that's the best reward. That's my favorite thing. So
Fair enough. That's a decent segue into Kurt's question here in the chat. Kurt and I have spent a lot of time with the Dairy One forage probe measuring bunk density. And so his question is how is your system calculating bunk density? It's an equation, not a
Yeah, we're really
probe.
not calculating density. We're basically providing the bunk packers the needed information to know physically where they haven't been, either enough or too much, based on the red, yellow, green indications on the physical heat map. And also, we're providing that needed information to know how many tons per hour are coming into the bunk. So, what is the needed weight to handle that amount of tonnage, on the ingestion rate? So, if you don't have enough weight on the bunk, there's no way you could pack it correctly. If you have too much weight on the bunk, then you could actually be packing it incorrectly. So, it's really right now the system is information driven. So, your experienced bunk packers can make the right decisions on whether to add a tractor, to remove a tractor. They can look at the hot spots and say, hey, we're driving over this one area way too much, or we're not getting along that wall enough. It's it's definitely a process that is growing. And we had two of our farms test this last fall for corn silage pack, and we're waiting to see when they start feeding those bunks off if we made a measurable difference. And that's really what we're after is we'd love to be able to say, yeah, utilizing the system, we could reduce your waste by X%. And certainly, if there's more technology we can add to make this even more valuable, we are all ears, and we would just love to be a part of that solution because we work awful hard to get it in the bunk, and then if it's not packed correctly and you get a lot of refusal there, that's just sad, right? And it costs these dairies a lot of money. So we'd love to help make that better. So.
Yeah, what a great proactive tool to have in your pocket because by the time Kurt and I are taking those those probe measurements, it's too late, right?
Right. That's the thing it's just too late. And that's the tough part, right? Is if you'd have known why you were packing, and you could have fixed it. But yeah,
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, DJ, so much, and I will be in touch with you about the farm that you're working with in Vermont, and maybe we can set up a time to get out on the farm and really see this in
absolutely,
action. That'd be really cool.
absolutely. We'd love to have you come out and check it out. So,
Great. All
well, thank you
right.
for having us. Thank you for having us.
Let's see here. All right. So up next in June, we hope you will join us. Jeff Sanders and Daniel Bliss from the Northwest Crops and Soils team will be here talking about precision ag technologies and systems that they are working with on farms across Vermont. And they'll also be talking in depth about our botany robotic weeders ahead of our first farm demonstration at the end of June. These units just arrived at our research facility last week, and we are really looking forward to putting them to work. Thanks for joining us today, and if you could take a moment to complete this brief survey, we would appreciate your feedback. Have a great day.